How's the drive out here, man?
That wasn't bad. I mean, I drive an hour every day to come up to RDA to practice with Donnie.
So, oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm driving an hour there and back every single day. I'm kind of used to it. I mean, and for my job, I'm driving an hour out to one well, and then another hour to another well, and then an hour back home. So,
damn.
I'm always in my truck. I basically live in that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man. After a while, you're kind of like, well, I guess I'll do a change of address, man.
Yeah, it's like my mobile apartment in a way.
No, bro. See, and that was one of my things. I was like, you know what, man? If I was single, and I'm glad I'm not, in case my girls is listening. But I'm like, I would definitely do that. I'll be like, you know what? Why not? Just freaking travel and run this everywhere, man. But yeah, I have a home, so it's all good. But yeah, man. I mean, as far as work, I mean, of course, and we're gonna go live in a few seconds. Work, like you said, you're able to just kind of come and go. I mean, I'm sure it's still a priority where it's like, we need you here and you gotta be there. But for the most part, I mean, you get to come and go, right?
Yeah. Well, so I work 7 days a week. Headphones on?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Please. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I work 7 days a week, every single week, except for whenever I have to travel to go fight.
Yeah.
My dad really takes care of me when it comes to that, so he'll hire someone else or he'll bring someone in to cover my route.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool, because of course they can't stop, right? I mean, if they need somebody there, somebody's got to show up.
Yeah, somebody has to be there every day to get those reports in. And yeah, he hired someone about a month ago when I went to Costa Rica for the Pan Am Champs. Yeah, so...
And you see, and of course, I mean, thanks to that, I mean, because obviously that's one of the good things, like I was saying earlier, man. It's just, I mean, just everybody that's competing, even in the UFC, a lot of people still working. They have a family, they have bills. But the fact that you have a boss like that, I mean, that's definitely a great thing, because now you can go out there and compete and do a lot of the things that you want to do, right? I mean, this is something that you've been pursuing for quite a bit.
Yeah, it's really been the only thing that's kept the dream alive, because if I would have to work like a regular job with a regular schedule, I travel too much, and honestly, I'd probably get fired because of how many days I'd have to take off.
Yeah.
Just I'm extremely fortunate that I can have this job that allows me to train 2-3 hours a day, and if I have to go somewhere, he'll let me go. And yeah, I really appreciate his support more than anything. And my mom and my dad have really helped me out through this whole process since I was like 8 years old.
Man, that's pretty awesome, man. Especially, I mean, it's not even just having the support, but having that kind of support, because of course. Even now, like competitors, and of course, everybody, we are live. Taylor Weber, of course, in the studio with me today, and to have that support, even having a wife and kids, the same thing. That you have that support, because if not, then there's going to be friction, and it just never ends well. But the fact that your parents are behind you like this, supporting you this way, that's I mean, that's pretty cool, man. I like that, man. And of course, I mean, how long have you been working with your dad?
So I've been working for my dad for about 1.5 years now.
Okay.
I just recently moved back down to South Texas. I was up in North Texas training at Fort Worth Judo, but work situations changed, and college, I dropped out of college because I really, really wanted to continue doing this, because my parents couldn't continue paying for my trips.
Right.
So they're like, all right, you have to work, and doing 3 things at once, doing college, work, and training all at once wasn't going to work. I couldn't find a job that would make that mesh. So I came back down here, dropped out of college, and just decided to pursue my dream of fighting.
And of course, I mean, you do have something else lined up. I mean, you just mentioned it earlier as far as coming up. Now, what is it?
I have a tournament in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. It's the World Championships, and that'll be in a 1.5 weeks.
And of course, no pressure, right? It's just coming up. How's training been going, though, man?
Training's been going good. I feel really solid. At the camp last week, I felt really good. My throws still felt crisp, but I've really only been training no-gi jiu-jitsu and then working on my strikings for next year's combat sambo, so I can win the nationals for that. But everything's feeling real crisp, feel strong. Like, my weight cut's going really good. About 11 pounds off right now, but if I needed to, I could make that water cut tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And normally, what do you walk around at normally?
I walk around at like 163 typically.
Okay, that's not bad.
So I'll do like a month out, I'll start cutting calories slowly, and then I'll do the big water cut, which is like 8 to 10 pounds.
You see, and of course, I mean, I know like in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they weigh you in with the gi. So in Sambo, did they weigh you in with the top as well?
No, you don't have to wear anything whenever you weigh in for Sambo.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
So I mean, how does that go though? So you still got to show up in that morning up, weigh in, and then, or is it like?
So it's actually the day before. So
okay.
I have plenty of time to like refeed, rehydrate. Yeah. So it makes that water cut more feasible. If it was a day of weigh-in, no way would I ever do a extreme water cut.
No, that or fight at your weight, right? Just go ahead and walk in and be like, let's go. But man, I mean, let me ask you this. I mean, backtracking a bit, when did martial arts become your life? I mean, when did you start training?
So I did a little bit when I was like really young, like 3-4 years old, and then got back into it when I was around 8. I did gymnastics for a while in between there, cool. And that really helped with my martial arts experience. But I got into judo whenever I was 8,
right.
And I've done that for the past like 13 years at this point.
Right.
And then just in these past 2 years, I got into Sambo. Last year, I went to the Pan Ams and lost first round. It was kind of a BS call. So I had an armbar on the guy, and they're typically supposed to give you 1 minute to work on it. But I was fighting a Colombian in Colombia, and as soon as I grabbed the armbar, they stood us up. But then later on, he got a leg lock, and because I've been doing judo, I didn't have that much experience doing leg locks. Right. He got a leg lock. I rolled off the mat, and they're supposed to stand you up if you roll off the mat, and they didn't. So I ended up having to tap. But I told my teammates that day, I was like, you know what? Next year I'm coming back and winning, and I ended up doing it. So
no, heck yeah, dude. See, and that's one of the things too, because of course, I mean, the rules are there. I mean. A lot of times they don't hold up to them. I mean, regardless of what sport. I mean, whether it's MMA or judo or jiu-jitsu. I mean, sambo, especially, as well. But who was there with you, man? I mean, did you fight that? I mean, when it happened, or was that just something that they were like, okay, next?
No, actually, Mikhail Kaczynski, the president of USA Sambo, was yelling at the refs. He's a scary dude. He's really cool. I love Mikhail. he's who really got me into Sambo. Because earlier on in my judo career, I used to fight his guys in judo, and he took a liking to me because I was a tough fighter and I was always very respectful. So I ended up fighting for his team in a team tournament in Florida. So he's who got me into Sambo, and he was really pissed whenever they called up my armbar, but they let his leg lock go.
No, definitely, man. But I mean, I'm glad you were able to go back and get that win, man. Because of course, something. I mean, was it like redemption? I mean, were you like, okay, no, I'm done with this. Let me get something else.
Well, I had to realize like my deficiencies. So then that's when I started training BJJ full time about a few months later, because I realized, well, if I'm getting into Sambo, and I actually really enjoyed Sambo more than judo actually, and judo was like my passion for forever. But I realized that I had deficiencies in leg locks. So okay, well, I'm gonna go jiu-jitsu all the time, 5 days a week, and work on my leg lock defense and maybe even learn some. So
no, yeah, for sure, man, definitely. And I mean, how's that been going, man? Because you brought up earlier, I mean, you travel, especially now. You're coming down to San Antonio to train.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I trained at RDA Fitness and MMA with Donnie Blue, and also with the Exception Squad.
Yes, bro, the killers,
JR
bro.
Caballero. Oh yeah, they're all killers.
You see, and you're young yourself, man. But let me ask you, I mean, seeing those guys training, I mean, is that kind of like, damn, I should have started earlier?
I do regret not cross-training jiu-jitsu more on the days I had off for jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Part of it was I could never really find a jiu-jitsu gym I liked that much. I have a hard time with guard pulling. I think it's kind of silly.
Yeah.
But jiu-jitsu didn't have the same killer mentality in a lot of places that I went that judo has or sambo has. But Donnie and his club, all of them are killers, and he's like, rolling hard is not an issue there. At a lot of places, rolling hard is an issue.
Oh yeah.
Or they'll get mad at you if because I won't walk in with my judo black belt to a jiu-jitsu club.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's disrespectful, but I'll put on my white belt, and then people kind of get mad. They're like, oh, well, you're not actually a white belt.
Well, sandbagging. You see, but where does that take place? Because I mean, are you ranked in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
I actually just recently got my blue belt last year under Donnie.
Oh, okay, well, congratulations. Well, you see, now you can walk in with your blue belt, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, is that still an issue? Like when you go out there and roll, like, are they kind of like You know, what else do you do? Or
Not really anymore. I found out ways to kind of... I don't like just telling people, oh yeah, I have a black belt in judo, like when we're about to roll, but I find ways, like when I'm warming up, to kind of subtly hint.
Oh, yeah. Do a couple of stretching and drills.
Yeah, air uchikomis, stuff like that.
No, definitely. You see, and that's one of the things... there was a tournament years back, man. There was actually a little altercation that happened there, but one of the guys was telling me, he's like, yeah, this guy, he's out there doing like Olympic-style warm-ups, and people are like, who the hell is this guy, you know, because, you know, people don't do that. But yeah, those are the kind of hints everybody wants to know, man. They want to see. And as far as training, man, competing, or competition, should I say, I mean, you have this one coming up next. I mean, is there one more before the end of the year, or what are you looking forward to?
After that, I'm planning on, like, resting, continuing to train, but kind of resting up, just little bruises and bumps that I have here and there. Every fighter has them, but it's just taking a little bit of time to rest, and then next year getting back to nationals, and then maybe even getting an MMA fight early next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, you see, well, let me ask you this. I mean, are you training in MMA right now?
So I'm training boxing, I'm training jiu-jitsu, and I'm training kickboxing, and then I'll do some MMA sparring at the end of the week. But yeah, I'm doing just about everything.
Oh, nice. But that's definitely something to look forward to, man.
For sure.
Well, let me ask you this, because there was something that happened a couple weeks back, man. There was, one championship.
Yeah.
Somebody posted something about having the best sambo guy out there to test themselves against Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or in the grappling format. Of course, it was supposed to be no gi, and you have put a post about it, man. And I mean, whatever came with that.
Yeah. So Mikey Musumeci made that post saying that Khabib had worn a shirt that said if sambo was easy, it'd be called BJJ,
right? And
called out sambo. So he said the world champion, and I'm not the world champion at the moment,
right,
but I am currently tied for first in the Sambo Fias ranking system.
Right.
So made that call out and got a lot of media off of it. Chael Sonnen made a whole video about it, and then so I'm working with someone who's in contact with one, and
nice.
There hasn't been too many updates on that, but it's still a possibility.
Man, well, let me ask you this. I mean, if that doesn't materialize, I mean, what about fighting the guy in MMA?
Oh,
you think he would? You think he would take that?
I don't think he would do MMA. No, I really don't think he would. But I'd be happy to do it. Yeah, I love it because I've been training combat sambo and working on my striking quite a bit. So
no, well, maybe we'll see, man. I mean, like I said, I mean, if he doesn't take that call, because of course, I mean, the guy's still out there. He won. I guess it was the first ever grappling format for one championship. When it came to grappling, but I mean that'd be pretty cool to go out there and compete in that level, man. I mean that would be a lot of exposure, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. That's. I was kind of worried to make the call out at first. I was like, am I gonna get a blowback for this, or like, am I gonna get hate for this? But I decided, you know what, might as well take risks with my career. I'm young. Let's just do it. So I put that out there, and it ended up working. Got a lot of good positive feedback from it, and hopefully it materializes. And man, that'd be awesome to fight for one.
No, yeah, I mean that's for me, and that's one of the things I always tell a lot of the fighters here, man. Because in the U.S., I mean, of course, I think back at the Pride days where, the audience, they're quiet and they're just watching and they're applauding, and it's a lot more respect. I mean, here it's like, people go crazy and they want to see that knockout right away. They don't want to see a lot of technique when it comes to grappling because they don't understand it, don't do it, probably find it boring, but. But when it comes to fighting overseas, man, I mean, there's a lot of fighters here that don't do a lot of PR. And so a lot of people don't know about them because they're not out there acting a fool and trash talking everybody. And, it sucks because I see it and I'm like, damn, but somebody like that, and I mean, especially at that level and getting that momentum and those fights, I feel like in one championship they would do well because now they would understand, like, oh man, this guy's a fighter. He's not here to talk. He's here to show up, fight, and entertain, of course, but that would be cool, man. I mean, well, have you competed? You've competed overseas. Is that something like you would be used to? I mean, competing, like, say, for one championship.
Oh yeah, I've competed in world championship events before. I've competed all over the world, Greece, Poland. I traveled through Slovenia. Competed in Croatia. I don't think I've competed in Asia, but I've been to Asia before. So
Nice.
I've been all over the world. I'm used to traveling. I'm used to that like stress and getting used to the time zone changes.
I was going to ask you about that, man. If the time change would be an issue, but I mean, realistically, I mean, how would you get there like a week prior to a fight like that or a competition?
Typically not, because money's still an issue when it comes to that. Getting out there, having the hotel for that long. I do try to get there like a day before weigh-ins, because I've seen a lot of guys get there the day of weigh-ins and they have a really hard time cutting weight because you can't really cut weight on the plane.
No, yeah.
So doing that weight cut really quickly, I'd rather have like a full 24 hours to really get everything right and not really skip on any of that. And I mean, the flight to Kyrgyzstan is going to take 2 days.
Oh, wow.
So during that time traveling, I'm going to try to start getting used to the time zone.
Right.
And then I'll have another 2 days before at the hotel where I can.
You see, in something like that, it's flying? I mean, is it like flying from point A to point B and then waiting and then taking another flight? Or?
So I'll have, I believe, 2 connecting flights. I'll have one through Frankfurt and then one through Istanbul, I believe.
Gotcha. You see, and when it comes to competition, who's going to be out there with you, man? I mean, your coach?
Yeah, it'll be Bob Clark. Yeah, he's
nice.
He's the coach for USA Sambo.
Nice, bro. You see, and I mean, being at that level, I mean, because of course you're competing in a big platform, man. And I mean, do you get nervous?
Honestly, I don't really get nervous anymore. I love fighting. It is my passion. I love it. So I just try to go out there and have fun. Like I know how much I prepared. I know how much I've trained. So I don't really get too nervous about anything anymore. I've just done it so many times.
You're like, let's go.
Yeah.
Get it over with. And I mean, as far as competition, which one has been your best win? I mean, or loss? I mean, which one have you learned from the most?
I think my best win is definitely this Pan American Championships, or actually, maybe there's another one. It'll be the Judo Fight to Win Championship. So Fight to Win's been holding judo matches under different rules. They're actually more similar to Sambo. You can do leg grabs, and it takes 2 ippons to win. So 2 ippons or a submission. There's no pins. But yeah, I fought one match against one of their guys because my guy pulled out. So I was 1-0, and then I fought the second match for the title in Dallas, Texas. And I was kind of the underdog there. The lady who does the matchmaking for the judo portion of Fight to Win was actually my opponent's coach.
Oh, wow.
So
wow.
I think they kind of picked me as a kind of a tin can because he had beaten me in a local tournament a few months prior. But what they didn't know is that they beat me after I took a 3-month break from judo to focus on my high school powerlifting career. So my cardio was terrible at that time.
You were strong, but you didn't have the cardio, man.
I didn't have the cardio. My technique was a little bit rusty from those 3 months off of judo completely. And then came in there, threw him. I didn't get an ippon, but I threw him once or twice, got some really good chokes. I really liked the, baseball bat choke?
Yeah.
I was in guard, let him pass it, got a nice baseball bat choke in there. Couldn't quite make him tap, but I have the 145-pound judo Fight to Win belt.
Nice, man. You see, and I mean, of course, I mean, when all this is said and done, I mean, what is it that you want to look back and say, or tell your kids, your grandkids?
Oh, I want to be world champion. So I want to be Sambo world champion, and eventually in MMA, I want to be a world champion in one of the big organizations.
Oh, definitely, bro. You see, one championship would be nice, man. I'm just throwing that out there, but
yeah.
I mean, as far as the, I'm sure as far, when that day comes, I mean, who are the people that are going to be helping you with that? I mean, MMA coach. I mean, you're going to have a couple of people, in your corner, man.
Yeah, Donnie, I'm sure he'll be there the whole way through. I got my dad. I'll probably have my dad in my corner because he's been one of my coaches ever since I was 8 years old. He did judo. He's a judo black belt as well as my grandfather. So my dad will be there. Just I don't know. We'll see when that time comes.
No, for sure, man. You see, and I mean, of course, having grandpa and dad doing this, was this something that was thrown on you? I mean, of course, I'm sure it wasn't pressured, but did you see that and we're like, man, I want to try that?
So it was kind of something that I was put into. Not really thrown on me because the first practice I did back when I was like 8, I loved it. I fell in love that first judo practice. But yeah, it's in my blood. My grandfather started doing judo in Eastern Germany while the wall was still up. Then they came over here, and then my dad got into judo. and so do my 2 uncles. But yeah, it's a family thing at this point, and it's been great having them as a support system. And we'll talk judo and we'll talk fighting all the time. So it's
so I mean, of course, when you get with the family, that's all they talk about, huh? I'm pretty sure it's a good conversation, right?
Oh, it's a constant thing, and all the judo players will know, like, when you get home, it's like a hug isn't just a hug.
Yeah.
You're going for position whenever you're.
I know, that's one thing I always tell people. Like, even my girl, like, she'll try to hug me, and I'm like, try to get my arm in there.
Yeah.
I can't get her. Let her get double underhooks, man. And it happens. I don't know. I mean, because I've done jiu-jitsu, I've done, as far as gi training, so it's just one of those things. But you gotta establish dominance. Man, I mean, outside of all this, what can somebody find you doing at home? I mean, when you're chilling, just home resting, when you do get a chance to rest.
So actually, I tailor my rest around fighting, or at least like my activities that I do for fun. It'll be like rock climbing. I do rock climbing because it's good hand-eye coordination, good grip strength. I really like to go out dancing at Cowboys, and that's good for your footwork. It's a little bit of just activity in there. So everything I do is like active in some way, form, or fashion. I try to find a way to make it useful for my main goal.
Oh yeah, because even in dancing, bro. I mean, if you don't have coordination, then you won't make it.
And I only started dancing like a little over half a year ago.
Okay.
So, and I got pretty good at it just because of like footwork in judo and sambo, and the fighting footwork makes it a lot easier to learn how to move and dance.
No, and let me ask you, because of course, I mean, you mentioned earlier you work in the oil field.
Mm-hmm.
Are there things out there that you use that maybe like martial arts helps you with? I mean, whether it's a hold, whether it's holding something a certain way or anything?
Definitely, like, if I have a big valve like to pick up or anything, I mean, obviously I'm a little bit stronger than a lot of the guys out there.
Right.
But other than that, I'm a good learner because I've had to learn a lot of things. And a lot of times I had to learn and transfer it for myself because I'm a left-handed player.
Oh, okay.
And everyone teaches right-handed.
Yeah.
So I had to take what they did and flip it around all the time.
You're like, okay, I gotta hold it this way.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that helps me in kind of all aspects of life is I'm a good learner.
Yeah. No, yeah, bro. I mean, that's actually key because even now, I'm older. When I first started training in MMA or Vale Tudo, freestyle fighting, what they called it back then, 2000. I mean, it was more like we had to learn off magazines. We had to learn off, and I told people, I said, man, we had to go to the video store and wait for the next UFC to come out, and it was just crazy, because for me, like, looking at a magazine, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see the hold, I see it, and I'm like, okay, how did they end up over here? It was always that we were always missing something, and we were like, man, so we'd have to go to the gym and try it and see how we figure it out, but you guys now, even us, we can get online and just put in, certain throw, certain submission, and you're like, okay, you got like 1,000, edit, as far as tutorials, just people going over the move. I mean, do you do that? Do you get online? Do you like look up certain techniques just to see, okay, well, let me see how they did this?
I have more recently. I've been watching a lot more video, but early on in my career, I really don't actually like watching grappling that much. Growing up, I didn't like watching judo, because I wanted to be a judo Olympian, but I didn't like watching judo. I didn't like watching jiu-jitsu. So only recently have I started doing that. Yeah. I always found the watching kind of boring in a way. I love doing it, but I've gotten better at that.
Yeah, let me ask you this. I mean, is it more because, like myself, like I can't sit at home and watch sports like basketball, football, come Super Bowl and all that. Like, I can't just sit there and watch it. If I'm live, it's different. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm participating. It's more like, you're there. But I mean, is that kind of the same thing with you? I mean, would you rather be live, watching people roll and think, pick up stuff, or just to see what they're doing wrong or right?
It's definitely better when you can interact and you're live, but no, honestly, it's just I really didn't find grappling that interesting to watch. Judo has a lot of stalling. You don't see the big throws very often, and there's a lot of in between. So I found it hard to focus on like one live stream for a while. I'd go back and watch specific matches, but I wouldn't be like some people where they're sitting there all day and they take the time out of their day to watch the whole IJF Worlds or a whole Grand Prix. So
I agree with you. I mean, I know here, like every once in a while, they have judo out there, and I respect it, for the throws, for a lot of the stuff that they do, but it's just I can't sit there and watch the whole match, and I'm like, okay, there's a move. It's like it doesn't happen as often, like you said. I mean, of course, but jiu-jitsu, just depending on what. I mean, there's some that they stall, and it's just boring. When it comes to people just holding position and getting points and holding till the bout stops, but I mean, let me ask you that. I mean, when it comes to mixed martial arts, I mean, can you sit there and watch a fight?
Oh yeah, I love watching UFC and mixed martial arts. I don't know. There's a lot more action in there. It's easier to focus on. Every weekend I look forward to watching the UFC, and now I'm starting to watch one more often, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. I'm always listening to the podcasts from the fighters. I'm always just finding the next thing I can to figure out about it, and it's kind of reignited my love for martial arts in general. I guess I did have a little bit of a lull where I was slowing down. I didn't enjoy it as much, but getting into the striking, getting into no-gi has really kind of ignited my passion again.
No, yeah, because I mean, of course, I mean, for me, I was training back to back. I mean, for years. I was there 5 years training, and I burned out. I got plateaued where I was just like, man, I'm bored, and I started traveling to Corpus, Austin, doing seminars, just to kind of spark that back up, and it did for a time being. I was like, oh, okay, cool, man. I'm running into people I haven't rolled with, and I'm doing pretty good. So I was like, okay, that was dope. Come back home and be like, okay, well, I can do this and that. But yeah, it's just, I mean, people get stagnant. I mean, that's why a lot of times people maybe do cross train quite a bit. Mm-hmm. The fact that you're traveling and you're able to train with with Donnie and the guys and other schools, man, is that kind of what, do you enjoy that? Of course, I mean, going out there and getting different roles.
Oh, I love it, because a lot of times when you're in the same dojo as someone, you'll start to learn each other's patterns. Exactly. You figure things out, but you can get back to a pure form of grappling, jiu-jitsu, fighting. Whenever you go against someone new, it's actually kind of similar to how some people talk about chess with chess openings.
Right.
So a lot of times with chess openings, people know every move up until a certain point. But if you do Fisher random chess, which they actually just had the world championships for, it's all random. So it's like going to a new place and getting new rolls. And speaking of chess, I love chess. It's probably another one of my favorite activities, because it is very similar to fighting. So.
And do you guys play this at home?
Yeah. Actually, my dad taught me chess as well.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah.
You see, my oldest started playing it, and she tried to teach me, and I just couldn't do it, bro. I'm not gonna lie. But watching her and my youngest go at it, actually playing, I was like, damn, because they both got pretty good, It's just, I don't know where they got it from. I gotta ask them now. But I know she was in high school, and she came home one day, and she was like, Dad, I want a chess game. So I went and we got one, and she was actually pretty good. I mean, I don't know the road. Maybe I don't know if she was playing correctly, but the fact that her and my youngest were actually competing and getting into it, I said, oh, okay, cool, man. I liked it because. They got to think and kept them, to my game, like you were saying. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great game to keep your mind sharp and just to keep learning. It's a great game to learn. I'd actually like to study it more if I had more time. But me and my dad always play, and he used to beat me as a kid. And my grandfather, my grandfather, the kid seemed unbeatable. But now they're no match. It's easy
now you're ready to get crushed, Dad.
Yeah.
And then, as far as family life, man, because of course, you work in the oil field. I mean, when you go home, I mean, what do you guys have out there, man? I mean, you live out there in the farm, in the country?
No, we used to. We used to have 40 acres and used to love to go shoot out there. We'd take some tannerite, blow stuff up, and it was a great time. But now we're in a smaller neighborhood, and
now you can't go do that.
No, I can't do that too much anymore.
You got that HOA, or what is it called? They might get upset.
Yeah, can't do that. We'll have to go to West Texas, where we have a little bit of land out there for the company.
Man. And of course, I mean, man, I thank you, bro. I mean, of course, I mean, there's a few things coming up for you as far as competition, man. But when it comes to San Antonio, I mean, of course, we had the SAMBO Summit, last weekend. Then, I mean, there was a lot of people here. What did you enjoy about it the most?
I really enjoyed getting to get actual Sambo rounds, because I didn't even know there was Sambo in San Antonio here with Patrick.
Yeah.
But it was nice to get some actual Sambo rounds before Worlds. Coach Julian had to set it up great. I learned a few things that I didn't know before. It was really cool. I ran into another Be Quick guy, Ruben, He was.
Cool, man.
Yeah, he had trained with Donnie a long time ago. So
Nice.
it's cool seeing how small the world grappling is.
Yeah.
And man, I got a ton of combat sambo rounds, ton of sambo rounds. I don't get to do like the gi throws very often because I only really train no gi. So it's nice to get my hands on that again. And
no, man, I was actually able to capture some of those, man, and those things were powerful, man. I mean, I was just like, and I mean, of course, you were just practicing, right? I mean, there wasn't like an actual. I'm sure if you could have thrown the guy harder, more.
Yeah, I could have landed on it.
But that was, I mean, those were dope, man. I ain't gonna lie, that was cool. And of course, I mean, the fact that you're able to train and get that experience, man, because when it comes to even the martial arts, I mean, here in San Antonio, I mean, it's blown up. I mean, now we've got tons of academies. When I first started, I mean, we had no jiu-jitsu black belts here. I mean, it was just Mike Rangel, who was a valetudo. I mean, we did a lot of gi, we did a lot of leg locks, boxing, kickboxing. It was just MMA, basically.
Yeah.
But that was one of the reasons that it attracted me to it, because I was like, man, I want to learn how to fight, man. And, you know, it was different. I mean, it was brutal. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, the first month that I went like once a week, because I was getting my butt kicked, man. I was like, damn, you know, I just couldn't do it, man. And of course, I got used to it. I fell in love with it. I was just like, damn. I mean, every chance, opportunity I had, I was just like, I'm gonna go. Like, he was like, I'll be here Saturdays. I was like, man, I'll be there. Like, it was just that good, you know. At the beginning, I mean, of course, like I said, there was hardly any schools around here. I think a year after, there was like a guy. He was a blue belt under somebody, and I was like, okay, cool, man. You know, I never got to make it out there, but it was more because I wanted to keep learning. I wanted to keep training, and it wasn't like, oh, my school is better, but I just wanted to cross train. You know, back then, I mean, I don't even know we had a word for it, but every time we would do that, even for with judo, we go to personally, I would go to like a boxing school, and it was hard for me to explain to them like, hey, well, I want to learn boxing, but for this. Mm-hmm. Like, they were like, no, you can't stand like this, or you gotta stand. You know, everything was for boxing, and I was like, man, that's not what I wanted to do, right?
Yeah, it's hard because a lot of times boxing has like larger head movements.
Yeah.
They can actually duck lower, whereas like if you do that in MMA, you're gonna get knee in the head.
Exactly. You see, and that's one of the things I couldn't explain back then, and they didn't understand it either way. So it was just like, no, you can't. So I would go a couple times, and then that was it, you know. But I mean, now it's like, I mean, a lot of people have the option of doing a lot. You know, you can go to karate school probably here and don't know what you're talking about. You know, and you can say, I want to learn this kick. You know, you can go out there and actually learn stuff and incorporate it into what you have going on, right?
Yeah, it's great to see martial arts blowing up, and not just San Antonio, but Texas.
Yes, bro.
Man, if you go north to Austin, a lot of world champions there, especially in jiu-jitsu. Like, it's
especially right now. I mean, it's just freaking crazy because, I mean, of course, you got flow grappling, you got like, you know, a lot of good people out there, man. I mean, of course. It has blown up. I mean, it's gotten a lot of attention to the state, and that's one of the things that I enjoy, because I'm like, okay, well, you know what? There's been academies here for a few years. You know, they've been making a name for themselves, and now they're getting more recognition because now bigger names are here, and they're like, oh, okay, well, there's other options. You know, there's other schools, other academies. A lot of them in Austin, especially. I mean, they cross train. They go out there and train with the B team. You know, they get a few rows in, and I thought that was cool, man, because it's just, you know, there's a lot to offer, and now it's just like, okay, now. The windows opened up. I mean, the doors open. It's just people can come in and see exactly what Texas has to offer, man, because there's a lot of good places out here.
We're kind of becoming like a hub of martial arts in a way, especially grappling.
Yeah, you see, and of course, I mean, promotions. I mean, of course, Fury UFC is going on tonight. I mean, they're on the UFC Fight Pass on that aspect. I mean, there's eyes out here. You know, a lot of the guys are making it to the UFC. After competing there, so that's a good thing, you know, because they're starting to realize, okay, well, there's MMA, there's a lot of good fighters here, a lot of good academies, and you know, it kind of blends in with everybody else because there's everybody cross-trained, everybody has jiu-jitsu here, you know, they incorporate MMA. I mean, of course, here at the HOJ, I mean, they've got, you know, sambo and judo, and you know, it's good, man. I love it. You know, it's just I wish this would have been, especially here, this location, man. I wish we would have had something like this back then, man. I'd be.
Oh man, y'all have a great facility. It's really cool. The ice bath, the workout room upstairs, tons of mat space. When I came in, I was like, wow, this place is really cool. Like, I like y'all got a little cage.
No, yeah, you see that too. They got that little combat corner back there, man. So guys training MMA can do that cage work and just incorporate that because, of course, they're, you know, fighting inside a cage. But yeah, man. But, I mean, of course, I mean, hopefully. I mean, there's no set schedule as far as MMA for you, but I mean, of course, it is in the future.
It is for sure, because with training the combat, it's essentially just MMA with a gi top, few different rules. It's crazy. You can headbutt in combat sambo.
Yes, bro. They told me about that, and I was like, oh damn, I didn't know that. But I mean, that's
intense. So and you see now, combat sambo is kind of dominating in MMA. All the guys from Dagestan and Russia. I think there's a Dudikova is her name. She just got in the UFC from Sambo.
Yes.
I believe it was Sambo 64.
Yeah.
That's a big training center over in Russia for Sambo and MMA. So, man, these Russians are coming in, showing everyone what combat Sambo really is and how useful it is.
And they're everywhere. They're not just in the UFC. I mean, of course, Bellator. I mean, they're purposely, I'm pretty sure Khabib had something to do with that, but putting a few of them in different promotions just so they can, get that world title and make it, build up that resume. Because of course, once they get to the UFC, man, I mean, it's good, man. It's gonna be, great times. I mean, I know there's a change of tides, where back when it first started, of course, the Gracies were dominating because of the groundwork, and then the wrestlers came in learning defense, and then the kickboxers learned, and so it changes. I mean, but of course, right now, I mean, the Russians are like, they're coming, they're here, bro. They're already making a name for themselves. But it's getting exciting, man. I mean, being a fan of the sport, not just in MMA, but just all sports. I mean, here locally, I mean, we have a karate dojo, man. I mean, the guys are competing in MMA, and I thought that was freaking cool. I was just like,
that's impressive.
Yeah, because they've been doing it for a while. They've been training in MMA, but it's just, the stance is there. You see that karate stance, and it's just like, okay, man, like I like it, man, because it just opens up like different style fights. So now it's like, okay, you got a karate guy against a wrestler, but this guy also knows jiu-jitsu, and the wrestler knows boxing, so it's like, let's see what works, right?
Everyone's becoming a little bit more well-rounded, but they usually have one thing that they're really good at.
Yeah, I mean, they got to have a strong base, and I mean, I think, I forgot who it was, we were talking about it the other day, and it's like, it's good to have that, because of course now, a lot of guys do come out of nowhere and just kind of start training, and okay, well, I've never done anything, but I want to learn. And it's just, but a lot of people, like collegiate wrestlers, come in. You got football players, of course. The NFL is a sport, but I mean, athletes in general coming into MMA, and it's just like, okay, it adds to whatever they're learning, because of course, they're athletes, they're out there training, and it's just adding mixed martial arts to it makes it fun.
Yeah, who was it? The salsa boy last night on the UFC card. He was a baseball pitcher.
Yes, bro. You see, and that's I heard that, and I was like, okay, cool, man, because it's like. We actually have somebody in Corpus. I mean, the guy used to play baseball, and he had brought that up. I mean, not that fighter in general, but just the fact that, I mean, he made he was looking to make a career out of it. Got injured and kind of like, okay, I'm going to lay off, and somehow ended up in kickboxing, and then he started doing MMA. But I mean, I like the fact that there's possibilities. There's, I think, I don't know if it was Kevin Randleman at one time, but they were saying there's only one way to go for collegiate wrestlers, or just wrestlers in general, because once you win and you get gold, and a lot of them go to MMA, because it's just that, it's kind of like the same grind, the same is tough. It's something that they can actually incorporate their style into. Yeah,
and a lot of them, once they're out of college, they don't really have any outlet anymore. Yeah. They'll get into jiu-jitsu, they'll get into MMA.
Yeah.
It'd be great if someday we can get more grappling sports into schools, similar to how like Japan has judo in their schools. Yeah. Sambo is in Russian schools and other Eastern European countries, I believe. But it'd be nice to get a little bit more variety within the schools. I'm actually, speaking of that, I'm actually really sad I didn't get to wrestle in high school. Jerrington didn't have it,
and that's one of the things, because I mean, here in San Antonio, man, we have wrestling like in the schools up north or in the northern side of town. But I mean, as far as like the west side, east side, south side, we don't have it. And that's one thing, of course, man. Yeah, that would be pretty cool, man, because I know they've had to where they do like jiu-jitsu classes, for after school. Kids can go and sign up. But that would be pretty cool, man. I mean, I don't see why that, it's like if you're getting paid and they're paying you to be there, why not? Just have a curriculum for the whole day and just have the kids come in for class, and just like PE, right?
Mm-hmm. Or I think even in the States, there's like schools that are tailored around gymnastics. So it'll be like at a gymnastics gym where they'll go to classes all day, but it's the reason they're there is because they want to be a gymnast.
Right.
More so than like they want to go to college, but they want to be a gymnast. Yeah.
No, yeah, they're just going to school because they have to, but yeah, you see, but that would be cool, man. I mean, like I said, I know they've done it before. When it comes to jiu-jitsu, there's been one they attend and they do like an after school program or, and I'll say this, man, because for myself, like in 2005, I started teaching. I was teaching inside a mall here in town, and I was trying to plug it in everywhere. Like I was just like, man, where else can I go? And one of the places I went to was Palo Alto College on the south side.
Okay.
And I went out there and I'm talking, I'll go to the, they were like, well, you got to go talk to this lady. So I'm like, all right, cool. I go out there and I tell them who I am, what I'm doing. And they're like, oh, okay, can anybody do this? And I said, well, it's, you have college kids here. I mean, I'm sure there's no disabilities. I said, I'm sure, we can do something, go around it. She called somebody else and she's like, hey, go talk to this person. I said, okay. I go out there and I tell them what I'm trying to do. And they're like, yeah, man. And he's like, well, how are you trying to do this? And I said, well, I just want to do like a class, like in between the day or whatever. I was working nights at the post office. And they were like, well, what if you just teach it? Like, you can come in and teach. And I said, well, yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. And they're like, no, but like, come here and stay for the day and teach for the day. Like, just have different classes. And I was like, really? And I was like, yeah, like, I didn't think about that. I said, but and they're like, yeah, we can pay you hourly. We can do this. And I was like, man, I'm all for it. I was just like, yeah. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. But it went to the higher guy and he squashed it, bro. Like he was like, oh, like, there's too much liability, and I was just like, no, well, we he said it isn't. The way I was trying to explain it to him, it's just like, man, I'm not gonna go over like light sparring. Like I'll do control sparring. I'll go over techniques for defense, self defense, and he just didn't he didn't see it, man, and it's just kind of like, damn, But I was this close, bro. Like I was like, dude. I told my kids, I said, I almost taught in college, right? But that's my story with that. But I'm sure, man. I'm sure somebody's listening, and you're like, hey, this is what I bring to the table. This is what I can bring for the classes. Mm-hmm. I'm sure somebody would be interested in that. So, anybody listening, man, hit up your schools, man. Let them know.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm not trying to coach too much, because I've seen a lot of people start coaching, trying to make money doing that, and then their actual competitive career ends up dying because they're not focused on themselves. You kind of do have to be selfish in this sport.
You do, man. You do.
So, I like helping and I like coaching when I can.
Right.
And helping anyone that I can. But full-time coaching, I don't think that's the way at the moment.
No, for sure, man. And of course, you still have goals. So of course, once you're accomplished and are happy and say, okay, I've done all this, and you're still young, man. So that still gets me, dude. I'm glad that you started competing when you did, man, because of course you're already making waves. That call out. Chow Sonnen to pick it up, and I thought that was pretty cool, man. I was like, man, and I gotta ask you, was that organic? Did you not know about it, and they just kind of somebody tagged you, and they were like, hey, dude,
So I had actually just recently watched the Joe Rogan podcast with Mikey.
Yeah.
And I followed him on Instagram, and I was just scrolling through my Instagram feed, and I saw his little thing about Sambo, and it took me a few days, 2 or 3 days, and I just kind of looked at it. I was like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's get it done. And then, so I put it out there. It got a few likes overnight, and then I was like, okay, well, if I'm really going to do this, let me go all the way. So I didn't have Twitter. I made a Twitter account just for this. I started tagging Chael's son, and I started tagging One, because Chael's had made a video about the call-out that Mikey made originally.
Right. I saw that one.
So I was like, all right, if there's anyone that's going to pick this up, it's going to be Chael.
Nice.
So I started tagging him on Twitter, over and over again, anywhere, commenting under his post, and then that day, I'm driving into a lease for work.
Yeah.
And I get a notification, Chael's son DM'd you on Twitter. Damn. And my heart starts racing. I'm like, holy
crap.
Yeah, holy shit, I'm gonna have thousands of eyes on just a very short video that I made. And he's like, all right, young man, I'm gonna get this the attention it needs. Just wait 24 hours.
Wow.
So that 24 hours was extremely nerve-wracking. I was checking my phone every 5 minutes, and then I went to sleep, and I woke up, and I look at my Instagram, and under the call out I made, someone put Chael Sonnen sent me. I was like, oh, he made the video, so I look it up on YouTube real quick, and yeah, it was kind of a crazy experience, and I DM'd him afterwards, hey, thank you for putting it out there. He's like, you did a good job, and you did a good job getting it the attention. So from the media mogul, that was a pretty good compliment. I was happy about that.
Yeah, man. You see, and that's what I was asking, because a lot of times, I mean, there's times where maybe the call out is wrong, or maybe somebody's like, hey, I want to fight. You know, there's been a few in the UFC, for example, that they're like, oh, I want to fight this guy, and they're like, nah, you're not ready. You know, so people don't pick it up because they don't feel it makes sense, but the fact that he picked it up and he was like, okay, like, I mean, obviously he did some homework and figured out who you were, and they're like, okay, well, this guy's, you know, he's got a resume, so why not, you know, but you haven't heard anything, right? I mean, like you said earlier?
No, nothing really new, nothing like official.
Yeah.
I mean, there's talks, but nothing really is official, so can't really say too much about it.
No, of course, man. And of course, when that time comes, I mean, of course, I'm sure it'll, you know, Chael Sonnen will pick it up again and, you know, put another video out there, man.
He did a little bit because there was a BJJ versus Sambo match in one already.
Yeah.
There was the Cade Rulatolo versus, I think you say his name, Wally Kershev.
Yes.
I was actually sort of disappointed in that match. The Sambo guy didn't really play his tactics very well because Cade was actually willing to wrestle with him and do the stand-up. Cade, in a video prior to, said, I want to wrestle with this guy. I want to show my stand-up. And then Kershev got that foot sweep right off the bat, put him on his back, no hands, foot sweep, just put on his back. So I think he did kind of a Russian mentality thing. He's like, this 19-year-old kid, I just foot swept him. It's easy. Yeah. So then he goes in for a forwards throw with no grip, and he just gives up his back. Rather than pummeling in, working for the underhooks, and getting to a position where he can get side control, get a solid positional advantage. Because he's not going to beat he's not going to beat Cade in a strictly groundwork match where Cade's going for heel hooks. Because there is a big deficiency in Sambo and Judo, because whenever you hit the ground, you only have like 10, 15 seconds, if you're lucky, to actually work on something. So a lot of our techniques are very, very basic, very rushed. So I think that Kershev could have done a better job pummeling those underhooks and getting a solid positional dominance, and then working a submission and tiring out Cade Rulatolo from there.
No, yeah, you see, and that's one of the things that I brought up here, because I think, I believe it was Julian that we had talked about it, and he said, you know what, if it was like a modified rules, like that would help both, because of course, like you were saying, like in Sambo, as far as the throws, you know, you're awarded points, you know, I mean, but going against a jiu-jitsu guy, you never know. I mean, he might just butt scoot right away and try to play guard, and I want to do the stand-up, so of course that would automatically take away from the throws, you know, so that's already handicapped the other guy for that purpose, for that reason alone. But yeah, man, I mean, if this match, let me ask you this, if this match happens and one's like, okay, you know what, we're going to do it, I mean, would you feel like, okay, now let's talk about rules, let's go ahead and set something up and we both agree and go?
I mean, I would be fine doing the one rule set. It's a big enough match, and you know what, I'm just going to take the time and just train for it. I've already talked to my dad, like, if it happens, then I'm not going to work. He'll support me through training for this. I'd be happy to change the rules where you can't butt scoot, because I think it's, I think jiu-jitsu still is a combat sport, and submission grappling is still a combat sport. I do think sitting on the ground and scooting towards someone is kind of a silly thing in combat sports in general. Yeah. But if the stipulations are I have to go and run one's rule set where you can pull guard, you know what, I'll train for it. I'll work on my guard passing, and I'll work on my leg lock defense, and I'll end up winning either way.
No, nice, bro. And hopefully it does happen, man. I mean, I'm gonna keep up with that and see if if you heard anything in the future, of course. But of course, I mean, you have this tournament coming up, so it's that's on your site right now. So after that, you'll be ready to go, right?
Oh, for sure. I'll start. I'll rest up a few things, and then I'll start training the leg locks, the guard passing a little bit better, and just kind of if it does materialize, I'll start training specifically for Mikey. And I think I have enough experience and learn fast enough that I can tailor my game to have a really good chance at winning, or just win outright.
You see, and let me ask you, if you were to win, how do you think you would win? Well, I mean, when you win, should I say, but I mean, what do you think you'd catch him in?
So I think I would end up passing his guard, getting side control, getting a mount, and I'd work for like an arm triangle, and then get him on the side, and most likely a Jujikatami, straight arm bar, or just take his back and rear naked choke. The basic thing for my route to victory would be getting the side control, tiring him out, keeping hard pressure, because that is one good thing Sambo and Judo have over Jiu-Jitsu is we have really, really good chest pressure.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a little bit bigger than him too. So if I have that good pressure, I get the side control, work to get to mount, I think I can finish an arm triangle, a straight arm bar, or work from there to get to back and get a rear naked choke.
Nice, bro. You see, and of course, man, I mean, the fact that you've actually trained in jiu-jitsu, I think, of course, now you understand the game, you know what you're getting into. I'm not sure if that was the case with the other guy, as far as him being just a strictly Sambo practitioner where they don't do a lot of mat time, like what they were saying the other day here at the summit. It's just, it's more throws, it's more stand-up, it's more... But the fact that you are getting mat time, I think that's actually pretty cool, because, I mean, you understand... You would understand his part of the game as far as him trying to, capitalize on a, side control or guard work or sweep or whatever. So that would be pretty cool, man. I mean, like I said, I hope it does materialize. I mean, for the most part, for right now, you have this tournament coming up. When are you flying out there?
So I'm flying out next week, Monday, November 7th.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually, it takes 2 days to get out there.
Yeah, bro.
So it's going to be a long thing. So I'm flying out of Dallas, actually. So I'm going to have to either drive up there or fly up to Dallas and then go out from there.
Damn.
But I'm super excited about it. The weight cut is going real good. Only got 10 pounds out, and everything's feeling good. I'm really excited for it. Haven't ever been to Kyrgyzstan, so that'll be a new experience.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. I've been to Eastern Europe a few times.
Right.
And that's definitely got a similar feel to that Central Asian kind of Soviet feel that I've heard Kyrgyzstan has. But I'm sure it'll be a little bit different. It'll be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Go out, have a good time after I win.
And of course, something like this, because you have been overseas, like you said, man. It's not going to be. It's going to be new for the fact that you haven't been there. But as far as the language and just having the different culture, it's not going to be like a culture shock, right?
No, it shouldn't be a culture shock. I've been traveling since I was 6. We lived a year in Germany whenever I was really young, and then I've been to almost 20 countries over in Europe.
Nice.
3 or 4 in South America, and I've done all sorts of things all over the world and got myself in bad situations while traveling.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
just a bunch of different dumb stuff of a 16-year-old traveling internationally, getting a drink the first time in public.
They're like, he's got a butter knife. You're like, hey. little things we forget about, man, But of course, man, I wish you the best of luck, bro. I thank you for coming on here and, of course, sharing the story, man, because, I was eager to have you in here and ask you a few things about the tournament and, of course, the summit that happened here. And hopefully, if they're listening, hopefully they'll do this once a year, instead of 2. So that I personally think that would be pretty cool. But, yeah, man, because I can imagine, of course, with more timing and more people knowing about it, I can only imagine, filling up this place, because we have a lot of room here, man. So yeah, we can definitely cater to another 50.
Oh, we could definitely put off.
Yeah, bro. Especially the mat space. It'd be crazy, but it'd be fun. But man, anything you want to add before we wrap this up, bro?
Yeah. If y'all can go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. My YouTube is just Taylor Weber, and you'll see a few videos about Sambo and Jiu-Jitsu, and a video about the Sambo Summit that happened here. Some highlights from there, and then my Twitter is tweber64kg, and then my Instagram is t.weber64kg.
No, by all means, man. I do appreciate you, bro. Everybody out there, of course. This is sPidA, the Fight Card Podcast. Till next time, follow up. Let me get a few seconds before this shuts down. But, bro, I do appreciate this, man. That was actually pretty cool of you to come out here and hang out with me for a minute. But this tournament coming up, of course, man, I wish you the best of luck. Safe travels, of course.